So, Shalom, do you want to start off and give an introduction for people who maybe weren't able to sign on last week, and introduce what we're doing a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, welcome to our panelists. We're really lucky to have Wes and Lex and Jeff here, and Myron, who might join us in a second, join us today. And so the whole goal of this, right, was, COVID-19 has interrupted a lot of our activity lately, right? And the idea of this panel was how can we connect, right, and identify common trends and as athletes. One thing we all do is we all compete, right? We all play some version of a sport or discipline or an event, and we want to be able to say or figure out, how has COVID-19 interrupted our training, and what could we do. What are other athletes out there doing to help prepare differently, right? What could we do now while we're stuck indoors for the most part? What could we do now to both mentally, physically, to stay competition ready, right? At the end of the day, the sun's going to come up soon. We are going to be allowed outdoors and compete. But for the most part, this opportunity, this 1 hour that we have, I wanted to connect. Whether you play whatever sport you play, this would be a great opportunity for us to chat about our sport. What do you do that I could take away? And hopefully, whether it's on or off the field, right? Whether you're training, in Seattle or in Washington, it rains a lot here for Lex and Wes, who live in, sunny California. We're not so lucky to have the sun, but when we do get it, man, we're all outside, if possible, right? To get a bit of exercise in and whatnot. So I'm not sure if that sums it up. I know I ran on a little bit about that, but for the most part, it's an opportunity for us to get outside and to train and to connect with other athletes.
Absolutely. I think that's great. I'm so excited about this. It's great to have all of you here. Can we do some quick introductions before we dive into some of those questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll begin. I'm Shalom. A quick background, the last 10 years, professional athlete has been what I've done with rugby, the sport of rugby. And then the last 3 years, we saw rugby go professional. And most recently, our local team being the Seattle Seawolves. We've been very fortunate to win the last couple of championships. And I'm very excited to introduce our other guests here, Lex and Wes, and of course Jeff, who I met recently. But Lex and Wes, they are, let's just say they're amazing Olympians. I've met them. I've known them now for the last 8 years. 4-time Paralympian, gold medalists in world championships, silver medalists at the Olympics. They're phenomenal. They've got an incredible story. Wes, Lex, I'll let you guys go from here. Tell us more.
Awesome. Appreciate that. I'm Lex Gillett, and I am a Paralympic athlete. I train here in San Diego. I specifically compete in track and field. For the last few years, I've been primarily focused on long jump. Also have been running the 100 meters as well. In my career as a whole, I've also competed in triple jump, the 200 meters, and the 4x100 meter relay. Long story short, I grew up in North Carolina, and I started losing my sight at the age of 8, randomly, just out of the blue. I eventually had a total of 13 operations to try to salvage my sight, to try to save my sight, but they were all unsuccessful. So after the last one, doctors said that they couldn't do anything to help my sight, and they said that I would eventually become blind. From that day, I would go home, go through my normal routine, and eventually go to sleep at night and I would see a little less than what I did the day before, until one day I woke up and I couldn't see anything. And it was challenging for sure. It was hard. It was tough, but my mom and a host of people told me I would still be able to do awesome things. I just may not be able to see those things with my eyes. And so from there, it was literally just trying to figure out how to live life successfully, learning how to read Braille so I could get through school, and learning how to use a cane so I could navigate on my own, learning how to use computers and technology so that I would be able to continue my education, and then also just to complete daily tasks that we could do, like send emails and send text messages and things like that. But eventually, once I got into high school, I found out about sport and about Paralympic sport and potentially being able to represent Team USA. I was introduced to long jump first. So since I'm blind, I have someone who stands at the takeoff board that's on the track on the long jump runway, and he yells and claps, fly, 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 fly. And so since I can't see what's going on, I can still hear, so I know which direction to run. And I remember how many strides I take. I count those strides in my head, and at the appropriate step or the appropriate stride, then I jump and land in the sand. And in long jump, whoever has the furthest jump is the winner. Um, and it's taken me to places I would have never imagined, countries, and experiencing different cultures, and it's been pretty phenomenal. So we're training right now for Tokyo. Training is a little different given the fact that we're inside for COVID-19, but the goal is to go to Tokyo next year and win gold. So the gentleman or guide who I was saying, is the person who stands at that takeoff board who says, fly, fly, fly. It's my buddy Wesley, and I'll let him take it away from here.
Appreciate that, Lex. Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Wesley Williams. My title is Paralympic Guide Runner. And what that entails is, first of all, I competed collegiately here in California, Cal State Northridge. And once I got out of college, I wanted to continue in the sport of track and field. So what's pretty popular is like you can, hop in and meet and continue, to compete. But that wasn't going well for me because I had to get a job. So it came about 2006, 2007. I got a call from a buddy of ours, Lex and I, who asked, hey, man, like, I'm involved in this group called Paralympics. I work with visually impaired athletes. They're amazing. Like, I went in 2004 and won a medal with one of them. And like, there's an opportunity for you to get on. Would you like to do it? So I got in and went out to a camp. And I was just particularly mind blown because I didn't know what to expect, but I got to meet the guys. We all jailed, and they took me on my first trip to Rio, Brazil. And Lex and I competed. That was our first time competing together, and we actually won a medal. And man, it was something that I wanted to continue to do. I got the drive and the passion for it, and I became a full-time guide runner back in 2008. So from there, my role has developed from just being a guide because I train and I compete with the athletes. So I have to be physically fit to do the training, which is, the weight room, the workouts on the track, and then also have to be fit and ready to go when it's game time. So Lex and I have just grown our relationship, grown our communication skills, and I have grown in the realm of like having to be a coach. A lot of those times when we're out there, things happen and we got to react fast. Lex needs, to know that he has a partner that's out there with him that knows what he's talking about. So I, advanced my my knowledge and stuff like that with long jump and learning how to run more proper. So yeah, that's pretty much a guide runner and on the field at all times, just tandem, and we rock out. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you both so much for sharing.
Yeah, no worries.
And Jeff, would you go ahead next and introduce yourself and tell us what sports you play?
Yeah, I am Jeff, and I've been doing Special Olympics since about 7 years. Oh, yeah, actually 4 years with three different teams. I am currently now with the Shoreline Royal for basketball and for the Spartans for softball, but I've been on the traditional since 4 years with King County, and I've been living here in Bellevue and doing Special Olympics ever since I pretty much got into the community center in Bellevue. So
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Jeff.
yeah.
And we might have another panelist joining us in a bit here, but for now, why don't we go into our topic for today? Go ahead, Shalom.
Yep. So our topic today, and for our listeners listening, our topic today was staying active and healthy at home. And so what I wanted to address, and I'll go between Wesley, Lex, and Jeff. What I wanted to look at was, for all our listeners, have play a variety of different sports, right? And so we want to make sure that they take away some best practices in terms of preparation and staying healthy, both from an active standpoint, and then what can we do to stay healthy, it might be from a nutrition standpoint and even mentally, right? And how does having a schedule, for instance, affect us as athletes, right? In our preparation, how does that affect our daily routines, and even right up to when we're allowed to compete again, right? And do things change or does it remain the same? So I'll be interested to get your guys' feedback on things like that. And I'm sure our listeners will be intrigued to hear your take on it. So why don't we start by Lex? Why don't you tell us, mate, staying active and healthy at home? You're competing for Tokyo 2021, right? It's exciting times for you. And then something like, Olympics was meant to be 2020, but because of COVID-19, things have changed. So from preparation, how has COVID-19 affected you and your preparation? Lex, do you want to talk on that?
Yep. So, I mean, it's definitely changed a lot of things. Initially, it was, like you mentioned, we were training was going really well, actually. And I was about to get into more of my specific training for long jump. And then we got the news that the Olympics and Paralympics would be postponed until next year. So of course it was really challenging. And then they put in place the shelter in place order. So we had to stick to our homes and practice social distancing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, of course it was tough, but as athletes, I feel like one of the things that we're able to do well is adapt. We do have routines and schedules, and that's awesome because it gives us structure. We know what to do at this time, at that time, etc. But sometimes you have to make changes and make adjustments. So being inside of my room here, my strength and conditioning coach and my track and field coach, they've sent us workouts over the past few weeks, things that we can do indoors. So that's been good. Been able to run in place for X number of minutes, 5-10 minutes, warm up, get the body moving, stretch.
Yeah.
Use a foam roller. also being able to, kind of step outside and maybe jump rope a little bit. I mean, there's so many different things that I've been able to supplement for what I would be able to do on the track. I also have an exercise bike inside of the room as well, and a medicine ball. So between those things and the resistance bands that I have, I've been able to still get some decent work in, so that, like you said earlier, once the lights come back on, then I will be able to get back to training without having to start from ground zero.
Nice. That's awesome. Jeff, you play soccer, basketball, and softball. Before I ask my question, just a reminder to all the listeners, if you have any questions, I see there are questions coming in the chat function. Please keep them coming, and we will be able to answer them. If not in between each question, we'll make sure to answer them definitely at the end. So keep them coming. Sorry, Jeff, you play soccer, basketball, and softball. What have you done to stay active and healthy at home during this
I've been
time?
just getting pretty much out in the sunshine and going for walks with my fiance, soon to be wife, however, as well. So I've been using my little machine that my mom has got me, stride walker, and I've been also doing kind of push-ups and as well, and doing stomach exercise, and so that way I can stay fit when this whole quarantine virus thing is over with, so that when I do get back to my regular sports and stuff like that, then I will be ready to be prepared and not sitting on, not overweight or whatever. So
That's awesome. I definitely feel like, if you're lucky enough to have a machine or some sort of machine at home, you're definitely in good shape. And really, there's no excuse to do something, right? Even if it's raining outside, especially for us up here in Washington. Great stuff, Jeff. Wesley, you talk about staying healthy and active at home. How important is nutrition when we're talking about this? Is it something that, let's just say for our listeners, right? Let's say if you're a top tier athlete, or even if you're competing socially, could you speak on like the importance of, or maybe it's not important, depending on what sport, on nutrition? Like what's your take on that, Wes?
Yeah, right. Nutrition is always important, and especially in this time where, we're kind of forced to stay inside. So you get not lazy, but you get bored and you want to start comfort eating, or you might find yourself watching TV more on Netflix a little bit more. So you got something that, the bag of chips, or are you drinking the soda and the juices and stuff like that. After a while, you'll start to see your body form into a little more softer. So it's always important to just be mindful and still keep some type of self-control, over that stuff. Because again, the sun will rise, and you do not want to have to work off, being a couple steps behind rather than ahead of the curve on that. So I know it's tough. I know I'm saying it, but it's tough. I've been in and out a couple times, eating burgers and stuff like that. But it's definitely important just to be mindful of keeping the salads in the diet, keeping, hydrated, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nice. And do you think for our listeners at home who spend a lot of time at home, I guess more recently, in the last few months, do you think, how important is it investing into, I guess, cooking your own meals, right? Do you think that helps, having a bit more control in what you eat because we're at home, or maybe we're cooking a bit more? Yes. Is that important, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. If you are able to cook at home, that is a plus. You could always, spruce it up, make it more exciting than if you were had the only option of going to eat out. Eating out is is to be used sparingly. But if you are at home, you know, make the chicken breast, make it as flavorful as you want. Make sure you throw in your broccolis and your kale and stuff like that. But cooking your own meals is definitely a plus when you're thinking about nutrition.
Nice. So we just had a good question come through. What motivates us to eat really well? Lex, going back to you, what motivates you to eat well when you know that Olympics is so far away? Like, well, what's the motivation factor there?
I mean, you said it. Just being able to go to the games and compete well and to get on the podium and win gold. I think that, I mean, when you have a goal that huge, you want to make sure that you can do everything in your power now so that when it comes time to actually perform, you'll feel the best. You'll be able to, you know, mentally, physically, on all fronts, you'll be in the best position to succeed and perform athletically.
That's fantastic. Jeff, what are some things that how important to you when you're competing, when you're playing your sports? Do you train your mind a lot, Jeff? Do you think about how important is mentals, you know, the mental aspect of competing as an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it all the time. I mean, pretty much I, you know, tend to eat a lot of salads and stuff like that and a lot of fruits and try to pretty much cut down on sugars and things like that or white. I mean, I cut back a whole bunch of white stuff and to pretty much stay active and ready for the sport when it does come back as an athlete, as a traditional athlete of Special Olympics. So I do that. I mean, I do eat a lot of salads and eggs, and I combine with fruits and things like that. It's like I mix that way, you know, I'm ready. I mean, I did, however, rip a piece of cartilage off my bone, off my kneecap, when I went knee on knee with someone in soccer, and I figured out, oh, yeah, it hurts for all of the day when I was an athlete because of I couldn't stand the pain. So I was like, you know what? Enough is enough. I have to take that weight off. So I just kind of just cut back on its sugars since then.
Yeah, that's amazing, Jeff. I mean, ripping a piece of cartilage off your knee, that's no, that's no easy. No, that's excellent. Lastly, Wes, when preparing for competition, I mean, I'm sure the listeners are curious, but is there anything particular that you guys eat before competing? Like, is there a little ritual, whether it be the night before or the day of competition, depending on what time, obviously, but what do you guys eat before competing?
Yeah, so for me, I actually like getting some fresh fruits in the morning. Big pineapple guy, you know, strawberries and stuff like that, and a bowl of oatmeal. If I can have a good bowl of oatmeal, it's going to be a good day. You know, not to be superstitious or anything like that, but you know, every now and then we'll stay. If we're traveling for competitions, there's places like I believe it's one of the Hiltons that we go to, and they make phenomenal omelets. And I'll go grab one of those or something like that. But you know, something light to keep the energy that I can burn off while we're trying to, you know, get the best results out here. Yeah, sometimes I can't eat. Sometimes I'm just like, man, I'm ready to go. You know? Yeah, but I always try to make sure that fresh fruits are always a go. If I can't eat, I could always eat something. But yeah, the good bowl of oatmeal or one of those good omelets from the hotels is good.
Nice. Lex, going back to competing, obviously that's something that we all as athletes, that's something that we all have in common, right? At some point we're going to compete again, right? Whether at an event, team sport, individual sport. Is it okay to be nervous? Do you still get nervous now? And if so, what could you help our listeners with? Like, is there anything we could do now to prevent nervousness? Like, tell us more about that.
Yeah, the first answer to your question, yeah, I do get nervous. I get nervous before competitions. It's definitely not the type of nervous feeling where you're questioning why you're there or if you're going to be able to compete well. It's more of like, it's another day, it's another competition. I got butterflies. I'm excited. So moving into the second portion of the question, what can you do? Um, First and foremost, try to take a deep breath, relax, and know that obviously if you've made it to that point, then you've been doing something right the the entire time. We're going to go to Tokyo next year, and had it been this year, it would have been 4 years of training. Now it'll be almost 5 years of training to go to Tokyo. So you put in so much time, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, into your craft, and you make it to the point of being able to represent your country or team or whoever it is that you represent, you can find reassurance and confidence in knowing that you put in the work to get to that point. So yeah, I mean, it's totally okay to be nervous, but at the same time, know that you've done what you need to do to to compete well, and trust your training, and trust that, I can't reiterate it anymore, but just trust that everything that
Yeah.
you've been doing is going to get you to where you need to go.
I really like what you said about, basically trusting in the process of your preparation, believing in that all the hard work's been done. Enjoy the moment. You made it there for a reason. You're there for a reason. We're athletes for a reason. And more just, be aware that you're nervous. It's okay. And then the second part to that is, now let's go in, let's put all that hard work into play now, right? So just capturing that thought, and then just moving on from there. So you're saying that, because I'm sure our listeners now, we all still get nervous before an event that we've worked so hard towards. We've waited so long because of COVID-19, right, to get out there and compete. And I think that would be huge for our listeners.
Absolutely.
Jeff, how about you, champion? You still get nervous before competing?
I do, yeah. I get especially when I'm going for that medal, it's like I kind of want to make sure I get it right and I get everything else right so that I can win that medal towards going to state or going to Wenatchee. So it's like, I kind of, I want to do well, but I do also get nervous when I'm compete the day before the big tournament and stuff like that. So
yeah, no, it's very normal, right? It's very normal. And some people have different ways of dealing with it. No, it's great that everyone has their own unique way of dealing with it, whether you're competing for whatever a sport. But I'm sure that as you could tell, Lex competing at the highest level, geez, you still get nervous and you're training with us. And then, I still get nervous, and it's just interesting to hear how different people deal with that. So that's great to hear. Last question before we got a lot of great questions. I just want to remind everyone, if you got questions, keep bringing them in on the panel. We got one more question to our panelists before we open it up to the floor. Again, sticking to staying active and healthy at home, our theme. Lastly, guys, is there anything in particular, like Lex, you mentioned earlier that you ride the stationary bike, you run on the spot. What could you give our listeners, like something tangible, something practical? Like, for example, lately I've tried different challenges, right? I've tried, I remember one time I did, okay, I'm gonna do 100 burpees. Now, I might not do them all consecutively. I might break them up into 10s, right? And I said, okay, I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes to do this. And I'm gonna do it, for example, and for every minute, I'm gonna, if it takes me 30 seconds to do 10 burpees, I get 30 seconds rest. As soon as the other minute hits, so on the minute you're going, right? So something as simple as that. What's something that you guys may have done or suggest for our listeners to do at home? And again, if we're stuck inside. And the other thing is, what's something that you guys do? I mean, obviously you're preparing outdoors. Oh, let's just stick to that. What do you guys do indoors, right? That you think athletes can and that you can suggest to our listeners?
I would suggest like one of them probably 15 push-ups and stuff like that. It's every time to try to set a goal and see if you can go over 15 every time or get to that point.
Nice, Jeff. I like that because push-ups are hard for some people,
Especially with military push-ups.
Yeah, oh, jeez. That's for sure. Lex, what's your take?
Yeah, I think building off of what Jeff said, you get the arms in, right? You get the push-ups in, but then I think you could also move from that and go to wall sits, for example. So, pretending as if you're sitting in a chair, but you're against the wall, and that's really getting those quads burning. I've been doing sets of 30 seconds. So 30 seconds on, get up and take a little break. And after you do the wall sit, you could do something like 5 jump squats or squat jumps. I'm sorry. And then take a little break and then go back to the wall sits again for another 30 seconds, get up, take a few seconds, and then do 5 more squat jumps. So that'll really get those quads going. You'll definitely, similar to like the burpees, you'll feel that for sure.
Wes?
Yeah. So similar to you, Shalom, I have been trying out the whole burpee challenge thing. So I've been just trying to burn out as many burpees I can in 10 minutes as well. I have not been able to do 100. I don't know how you were able to do that, but that's tough. But yeah, I one of the ones that I've grown to like was I would do 1 and I'll count 5 seconds and I'll go 1, 2, count 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, count 5 seconds. So now I'll do that all the way up until I can't, and then I'll take a break and then I'll start over again. 1, count 5 seconds, 1, 2. And so I've done that. I'm really fascinated by just body weight stuff. So push-ups, pull-ups, bodies and body squats. Yeah. So I do like every other day I get in like 150 push-ups and 200 body squats, just to keep pushing it and see like how the transformation looks. It does engage the core. Core workouts are very important in our sport. So just trying to change it up, because I know once the sun comes up, I'm gonna be right back into the things that I've been doing in pilot mode for the last 10 years, 12, 13 years. So it's been fun just challenging my body to do different workouts and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. We got some great questions coming here. Please keep them coming, panelists. To our listeners, to our panelists. Leah, shall we take a look at a few here?
Yeah, sounds good. I just wanted to quickly jump in. It's awesome hearing, so many different tidbits that everyone can be doing at home. Something that I don't know, Jeff, maybe you're aware of. Right now, Special Olympics has a Stay Fit challenge, and there's a new challenge every week. And so for everyone listening, if you haven't heard about it, you can find it on the Special Olympics website and you can sign up. And there's a new challenge for you to try every day with adaptations. So if you aren't able to do a wall sit, there are different ways that you can work on your quads, on different parts of your body, based on whatever your abilities are. So it's pretty awesome. There's a tracker, and you can think about what fruits and vegetables you're eating, how much water you're drinking, and how often you're exercising. So that's another little bit of advice that Special Olympics has been offering, and we'll send that out in email to everybody who's listening in today too. Wanted to add that in. But then, yes, we have a lot of awesome questions. Let's see. So there are so many here. Let me start at the top. So, someone asked, and this was Marcia. Marcia asked, how do you prepare for meets, and how do you keep yourself mentally focused during those events and during practices? I think that one could go to anybody.
Yeah, so I'll answer that. Preparing for meets is pretty much, since I've been doing it for so long, I just know that there's just a certain mode that I get into like the night prior, and it's just, just focused, and it's just honed down on what the task is at hand tomorrow. Sometimes, it does get a little overwhelming depending on what the meet is, but just trying to keep it light and just always remember to having fun is one of the great things that I figured out on how to compete well. And I also have, Lex. Anytime I compete, I always have Lex there. So that always breaks up the tension as well if I'm getting too overwhelmed. So yeah, Lex has always just, been a great asset in that too. So I got a cheat code.
I think that's awesome. That's something that I think everyone is missing, having their teammates around to keep each other motivated. So anything like this where we're able to stay connected virtually, I absolutely find helpful to keep myself motivated and doing whatever that means for me. Does anyone else want to answer that one?
Pretty much how I stay focused is pretty much like I try to stay focused on like the during the tournaments and stuff like that. I concentrate, I tried to tell myself, oh yeah, I'm going to do well and I'm going to, move on and get a gold medal. I mean, it doesn't matter what medal I get, but I will get a medal no matter what. If I lose, it doesn't matter. I still did a good job. So that's how I stay focused during the big tournaments when it does come around.
That's awesome, Jeff.
Attitude.
That's awesome. Great. If we don't have any others, I can move on to our question. Let's see. So Christina Berry asked, how do you keep a routine?
I'll take that. Oh, Lex, you go ahead, Lex.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the people who kind of help you establish that, especially within sport, right? So you have your coaches, and you may have someone who helps you figure out what your nutrition plan should look like, and just naturally, some routines just happen normally in our lives. So we may get tired at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and you choose to go to bed at that time, and you wake up at 7:30, and your body tells you that it's time to eat. So you go and grab food. And from there, the routine that your coach has kind of put in place, you follow that schedule. So it may be going to train at 10 or 11 in the morning, going and warming up, doing the workout, and it could look like going to lift weights, and then you have someone who outlines that as well. So definitely have a number of people who help create that schedule and that routine for you. And then some of the other times it's just you developing that because of what you're feeling and what your body is telling you naturally.
No, that's great, Lex. I for me, The short version is I like having a routine, and it's important to have a routine because it helps with consistency, right? If you want, most athletes, aspire for consistent results, right? Whether that's through training and then leading it to competition, you want to make sure you're following some sort of plan or schedule. That being said, I mean, that can go with your nutrition, to the times you wake up, go to bed. How important is that right now during COVID-19? I think mentally that's great too. I think it's important mentally that this is just my take on it. I think it's important that I still have a schedule. I would normally still go to bed the same time that I go to bed if I've got training, because it helps me with getting up at the same time. Every now and then you're allowed to change things up a little bit, but for the most part, you have a true north. That's what I'm trying to say. So I hope that helps anybody out there, but just on the back of what Lex said.
Usually my routine, sometimes how I do it is I usually just, when I want to go to my practices or my tournaments and things like that, I always know that I will be able to get up at 7:30 every morning. And usually that's the routine that I stick to. I already know in my head that I kind of have to get up at 7:30 and then go to the 8 o'clock the sports, either over in South Saddle or Tacoma, wherever they may be. But I always know, this is what time I have to go to bed. This is what time I have to get up at 7:30 in the morning to go compete and get a medal. So that's the routine that I stick to.
Thanks, Jeff. I think it's always helpful to hear some of how different people organize their days. Let's see, we have a question specifically for you, Lex, from Anthony. He asked, what challenges and barriers have you gone through as a visually impaired athlete?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I think just after I had lost my sight, it was a matter of probably just acceptance and being able to interact and cooperate with other people in the world. So trying to explain to them how I operate and the things that I need that will help me be successful and help me accomplish things in life. And then also having the vulnerability to be able to be transparent and to be open about what they can do to help me out as well. And that was challenging at first because, to be honest, I was still trying to figure out myself and trying to be comfortable in my own skin with being blind. So once I was able to actually get through that and be comfortable in my own skin, that helped out in me being able to educate others and let them know what I needed and how they could help me, so that we could all evolve and make me feel comfortable and make them feel comfortable as well. And of course, from an athletic standpoint, it was trying to figure out the sport and gaining the courage to actually get out there, to run, to jump, to trust someone who was out there giving me the clapping and yelling. It was definitely challenging in the beginning, but as we continue to work at it, and as I continue to give up that full trust to my guide, I was able to break down that trust factor and break down many barriers. And next thing you know, it leads you to places that you would have never imagined. So certainly challenging, but you can definitely get over it for sure.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. How long have the two of you been working together?
the 13 years.
Sorry if you mentioned that earlier. That's awesome. All right, let's see. We have some more questions. This one is pretty specific. This is another question from Marcia. She asked, what do you do for core workouts? Specifically as a swimmer. She's a swimmer, but that applies to all sports, really. Big suggestions?
I think that some V-ups are really good. V-ups are really good. You can also do crunches. I think that doing back hypers, so, you know, kind of being on your stomach and actually kind of being in a, what would that be, like a freestyle position with your arms out and arms out and legs out. Back hypers are really good. Golly, there's so many things that that you can do. If you have a medicine ball, you can do the Russian twist where you're going from side to side. Those are my suggestions.
I would add, if you can get into planking and doing like leg lifts, alternations while you're doing the planking, that also gives you some good stability and strength along with that core there.
Yeah, and also pretty much like usually how some of the Special Olympic training exercises that we do, we kind of do like windmills and stuff like that. We kind of stretch, go back and forth between our feet and things like that. And that's how we usually strengthen our core, either when we get ready for soccer or we get ready for softball, whatever. You kind of just torn back and forth with our elbows and things like that, just to get our core kind of ready to hit.
That's great, Jeff. There are so many, and I've been writing down your suggestions so we can share them with everyone. And Marcia just responded and said that she can't wait to try these out. She has a medicine ball and some equipment, so that was helpful. And we have just under 10 minutes here, and Anthony just asked another question that I think is a really great way to finish off our talk here. And he said, what do you do to inspire others to spread their wings as champions?
Wow.
Go ahead.
No, go, Jeff.
As a team captain in Special Olympics, I know I bring it up a lot, but however, as a team captain, you always have to pretty much lift the other person up. Just say, you know, you're doing a great job. You'll get there. Keep trying. And just pretty much give it 100%. I mean, never put them down or no negativity at all. Always positive. Say, good job. You will get the next one as well. So.
Yeah, and I've realized that's a great point, Jeff. I also realized that just in my position that helping someone else find their strength and, you know, trying to help them expose that just gives them something that they can leave with for themselves. It's not anything that I'm doing or they see me doing. It's something that they believe in themselves that they could do. So, you know, it's a lot of encouragement, like Jeff said, never putting them down and just be like, you're here for a reason, you know, and you can do that. You can do whatever it is that you think that you put your mind to. So, and it's been very beneficial in that aspect. So hopefully, if anybody's listening and they have this burning, you know, drive to do the core workouts that we're talking about, or, to come out next year and just hit, 2021 with a vengeance, you can do that. That whatever it is that you are thinking of is exactly what you should be doing, and go relentlessly.
Yeah, I think that Jeff and Wesley definitely hit on some really important things, and to add to that, inspiring people to be their best and to spread their wings is all about recognizing that no matter what you look like, or your background, where you come from within the country, or any of those things, we all have something special and something unique about us, and we may be different, but we all have something special to offer sport, to offer the world. And so being able to piggybacking on Wesley, helping people to find their strengths, that's huge, because some people don't necessarily see those strengths, because they may think that they're totally different from the next person. But that's okay. Like, it's cool to be different. Like, I'm blind, you can see. Some people are swimmers, I'm track and field, and there's not an issue with that. It's all about being able to pull the absolute best out of us. We all have strengths. We all have areas in life where we can become even stronger. And us being able to recognize those things is the awesome part. That's where we can definitely start. And then once we acknowledge that, then we can make those strengths stronger, and then we can make those areas that need a little bit of work, we can work on those to build those up. But just because we're different, that doesn't really matter. We're all special. We all have something unique to offer the world.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Lex. I would just add on to that, especially during these times, how we're all stuck inside and trying to find what our new normal looks like. I would say let's take the time to reach out to somebody and encourage them, right? We've got time on our hands right now. And you're absolutely right, Lex. This is a perfect time for us to connect with our teammates. If you play an individual sport, reach out to another individual that you know of, right? Whether it's in the same discipline or a different event. I think this is a great time. I really appreciate everyone's points here.
I mean, especially with Special Olympics and stuff like that. I mean, people on the opposing team is also the teams. Is like, I have one guy that, he kind of had a bad day, but I always, however, tell him, you always will be a good brother to me and stuff like that. And pretty much I encourage him and include him as well. I mean, sometimes people on opposite teams, it's competing otherwise on the court or softball field or soccer field, one or two. But however, off the field, they always will be your friends no matter what teams are on. And if they're special needs or not. I mean, if they're not special needs, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're still going to be, you're still going to be a friend with them no matter what disability that they have or the deaf or whatever. So it's all about that team level inclusion, as well as that they say. It's like inclusion on everybody, no matter what skin or what race or who they are. All that matters is off the field, they're friends. I mean, we need to work together on this. So it's like, even with this bad thing coming with, so to get.
Absolutely. I really appreciate all of you sharing. I think that was really well said by everyone that, you know, this is a great time for us to have the chance to connect and re-solidify those friendships that we all have. We're all here because we are athletes. We all have a shared goal and a common interest that we can connect on. I think that's really special and a place to celebrate all of the differences that everyone has. So I think this has been a really awesome conversation, a chance to share ideas and share stories. I've really appreciated getting the chance to hear from all of you. And thank you so much to everyone who has joined us listening. And Shalom, Lex, Wesley, and Jeff for spending your time to share your ideas and share your stories. I hope you will continue to be a part of the Special Olympics community.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Oh, you're so cute. They're
Thank you. Thanks for having us on. Jeff, nice meeting you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too, Shalom. Nice to meet you too.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you, listeners.
Great. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
Yeah,
You
And
too.
also,